What does it mean to be engaged in today's workplace? How do we inspire, inform, and connect a working community? How do we build a culture of irreplaceability, trust, and listening to keep people on board and rowing together? Welcome to Post-COVID Leadership Advice. This series is all about building a workplace culture where people feel heard, supported, informed, and connected. This is a roadmap for leaders at any level, at any organization. Hello and welcome to Post-COVID Leadership Advice. I am your host, Fiona Passantino. I am a culture, engagement, and communication specialist, and I love helping leaders and teams be their best at work and level up. So today we are going to enter into this scary world of artificial intelligence. I did a piece earlier on ChatGPT, and now we're going to be looking at image generation and specifically Midjourney. So just imagine that humans are not the only ones on this planet who can create unique works of digital art in an essentially unlimited array of styles and formats. If you've already started playing around with ChatGPT at work or at home to generate text, just wait till you try some of these image generation tools. I got to know Midjourney personally, and it's scary and amazing, but now everybody is a highly skilled digital artist and empowered to create some images in any form to augment your communication, whether that's a PowerPoint or training materials, whatever you need. Midjourney is powerful. It's fast, it's versatile, it's surprising. The images that you see emerging from the gloom are moving, eerie, fresh, and unexpected. Using this tool, from my own experience, is highly addictive to the point of absolutely intoxicating, terrifying, strange, all at the same time. Within seconds, you're able to create these images that no one has ever seen. They're not made by a human, they're not owned by anyone, and they're free to use for your own purposes. So what is Midjourney and where did it come from? It's one of a family of text-to-image AI applications accessible by browser and phone that generates unique images based on user-fed prompts. Sort of like DALL-E or Stable Diffusion, there are a few of them out there. It was founded by David Holtz as a startup back in 2022, the good old days. And it was released, the version 5.1 model was released in May 2023. And like ChatGPT, it became profitable and rocketed into heavy usership very quickly. About a month after launch, it hit about 1.8 million users, just 1 month after that. And it is already disrupting a lot of people in the creative industries, just individuals and businesses alike. How does it work? So like a lot of these other AI image generators, it basically performs a massive internet data scrape from open published data sets that it pulls together and incorporates into a new image with layers of its own artistic artifact and stylization. What makes it unique is that this image creation takes place in a social messaging community called Discord. You join this community first, and then you access the beta image bot from the Discord interface. So it's a little bit more complicated to use and requires a couple of steps to get involved. Now, what can I use it for? Aside from the sheer entertainment value, and I can tell you that I spent an entire weekend playing with it, Midjourney has some real upsides for any communications team for its ability to create anything to augment its content. So book covers, ad campaigns, logos, icons, children's books, illustrations. It can do just about anything in any style that you can imagine. From manga to Mondrian, graffiti, cave painting, hyperrealism, surrealism. I haven't yet met the boundaries of what this thing can and can't do. And believe me, I'm trying to break it because I am a visual artist myself and I am disrupted as I speak. What can I do with it? Well, You can use it for concept developments and mock-ups. Usually when communicators provide these kinds of mock-ups, you have to use a back of a napkin sketch or kind of figure out some kind of a wireframe. But with these tools, we can create absolute high-resolution, print-ready assets as a mock-up to communicate ideas effectively. This means that we just skip that entire ideation phase where we're dealing with not substandard images. And a lot of times people can't understand what something is supposed to look like when we're using wireframes. But now you can see an actual finished product, and you don't need to make that leap conceptually to understand what this thing will look like when it's out there, which means you can not just A/B test, you can A/Z test any kind of idea that you want among any sort of focus group that you want. The next use case is branding. Logos, banners, icons, thumbnails, fave icons. It can deliver a full range of concepts that incorporate all of these different sizes. What looks good when it's really, really small? What looks good when it is really, really big? You can essentially test out all of these things there. Just think about how your PowerPoint slides will look now that you can have full scale illustrations that have never been seen before, and you can really communicate a concept, an idea, and deliver an emotion that a full screen, very detailed rendering can do for you. Imagine trainers, instructors, teachers that can develop their own visual learning materials without the help of agencies and studios. This really democratizes visual communication. Anyone can create a richly illustrated manual, book, text, or series of original memes, if that's your thing. All right, how do you get started? The first thing you do is to log into Discord and you create an account. This is this messaging app and website that has these channels and rooms with all these ongoing conversations. It's a little bit overwhelming, the chatter, but you simply jump right in, you become verified, you join the beta app, choose a subscription. I usually go for the lowest, that's fine for me, and then you set up your profile. If you're just new, you're encouraged to go to the newbie room, or one of many newbie rooms. And this is actually an excellent place to start because you can just watch and see what other people are doing, read the prompts that they have written, and see what comes out the other end. I spent a little bit of time before I dived in myself to just learn the language, because it is a language, and the bot reacts to various structures. Some work better than others, and you can watch these themes develop over time, and you can watch how the prompters have refined it as they go. I found it quite overwhelming at first. It was very confusing, very chaotic. Pictures and prompts all are tumbling down this kind of rushing river, and it was really hard for me to kind of keep up and keep track of who was what artist and what was what image. But once you're ready to dive in yourself, your first act is to go down to the bottom of the page and type in your very first prompt, which is a little / the words imagine, and then hit the space bar. This kind of wakes up your bot and opens a small input field into which you type your prompt. And in there you describe what you want to see. You just simply describe it in natural language the way you would a friend. I would like to see a house in the mountains at dusk. Then you can also define the style. I like it dramatic, hyper-realistic, noir. And then I can add other parameters, which I will get into later. At the end, you will get 4 images spit back to you, and they are 4 in a little row. So the top 2 and then bottom 2 all have corresponding little buttons. You'll see a row of buttons V, which stands for variation, which means clicking on one of those, you can choose to vary what you see. And then under that, you will also see buttons of U, and that corresponds also with one of the little 4 squares, which means upscale. So clicking on the U button and the corresponding number will expand that one image, and you get to see it in all its glory and detail and download it if you're happy with it. And that's it. That's all you have to do. It's just a matter of trial and error, and you have to practice learning from a lot of helpful YouTube videos that are already out there with plenty of tips and tricks. So I'm going to focus on how you can do this as a communicator and learn to prompt like a pro. A well-crafted prompt does follow a structure, and it uses keywords and things called parameters. And parameters are just kind of little codes that shortcut a command to tell the bot to do something specific. And I'll get into those in a minute. The first tip that I can relate is to, once you're ready and you've soaked up the atmosphere in the flow of all the newbie rooms, is to create your own room. This is something that I did fairly quickly because I just was too overwhelmed with all the other stuff going on. And the sad part is I don't get exposure to other people's writing, but you do save a lot of time scrolling up and down to find your own output. You create a room by pressing the little plus button, and then you have to add the Midjourney bot to your room, and then you can start generating. And the fun part is you can also add your friends. So if you have contacts or friends that are already playing with this thing, you can bring them into your room and have a little laugh while you're doing so. Tip number 2, structure your prompts. The more specific your commands, the more detailed, the better the result, or in any case, the closer your result will be to what you actually want. If your prompts are sort of vague and loosey-goosey, you might get something really cool and wild and fun, but not probably what you were hoping for. Midjourney really only needs one word to start its magic. Llama will already get you a visual. You don't know what it'll be or how crazy and wild it'll be, because whatever blanks the bot experiences are basically going to be filled in by its own imagination. So if you think about the following structure, this is what works for me. You start with a subject. This is your person, your animal, your character, your location, your object. This is your scene. Next, you focus on your medium. So what is the type of work you're going to do? Is it going to be a photograph? Is it going to be a painting? Is it going to be an illustration, a line rendering, a sculpture, a doodle, a 3D object, even a tapestry? I have not run out of words to describe various mediums, and I'm still amazed by what comes out of it. So go ahead and experiment, and you'll be amazed as well, I hope. Then you focus on the environment. Is this an indoor scene, an outdoor scene? Where is this taking place? In space, underwater, in the desert? Define that, and then you can move on to the kinds of lighting you want, which is, it can be soft, ambient, dramatic, neon, studio. It can be harsh. It can be fuzzy focus. And then I look at color. Describe the color in a few words. Vibrant, muted, bright, monochromatic, black and white, sepia toned. Then I like to talk about mood. Is it a calm mood? Energetic, mysterious? And finally, I go for composition. What are we looking at? Is this a portrait? Is it a headshot? A close-up? Is it a bird's eye view scene? Is it a worm's eye view, which you can guess what that means? All of these things together will further define and refine what the scene will look like in the end. Tip number 3, copy the pros. Pick an artist style that you want to emulate, such as Da Vinci, and add it at the end, followed by the words style, so that the bot knows what to look for. So if you prompt imagine man looking out at ocean, standing on dock, sunset, Da Vinci style, you can see what the bot does with this style. And because it has access to the internet, you can be very sure that famous artists will be picked up by this as well. Tip number 4, you can actually reverse engineer this thing and prompt with an image, not just a text. If you insert a URL and then add the text with the commas to separate the key ideas, it can work backwards. It can work from an existing image and then use that as a place to start from. So you upload an image in your prompt area with a little plus button at the bottom of your screen, and then if you're going to get fancy, you can even blend images together. So the /blend prompt will allow you to upload 2 or 5 images and merge them into a new concept. This will weave together both the ideas and the aesthetics of all of them combined. And this is quite amazing. And then finally, tip number 5, use parameters. Midjourney has this built-in aesthetic style. We recognize it as a kind of photo-illustrated, hyper-realistic modge-podge of cool and funky and amazing. But we can remove, enhance, and bend it and adapt this signature style as we like. We can basically strip it, or we can augment it. And these parameters are helpful to do so. Using Midjourney well requires practice to get it right. You might find that you're able to get exactly what you want on your very first prompt with no variation needed. And at the same time, you might find another image simply can't get it right, no matter how many times you refresh that prompt. It's just a matter of practice. You have managed expectations. You have to understand the vocabulary and the language that you use, your own powers of description, your own creativity, and a bit of planning, and you're on your way to becoming an AI-powered visual communicator for both your professional and your personal life. So good luck out there, and have some fun. Thank you for being a part of this episode. Subscribe, follow, so you never have to miss another one. These ideas are based on the Comic Books for Executive series. Go to postcovidhandbook.com